and welcome to Addicted to Murder Video Spotlights. I'm Courtney.
I'm Trisha.
And today we are going to talk a little bit about the psychopathy checklist.
Yeah, I know nothing about it, so Courtney is going to enlighten me and you.
Yeah, so the psychopathy checklist is a measure that was created by a forensic psychologist, Dr. Robert Hare. And he actually, back in the 70s, worked with some different graduate students and interviewed tons and tons of prisoners up in British Columbia, actually probably the same prisons where our friend Gary Olson was probably incarcerated. Clifford, thank you.
I mix him up with Gary Ridgway, and I mix him up with like Richard Ramirez. It's Clifford Olson. I don't know why his name. You've said that since when we started looking at him that you struggled remembering his name. Clifford Olson, the Beast of British Columbia, the biggest piece of crap we've heard of so far.
Yes, who we've been talking about on our most recent episodes. So through all of his interviews, Dr. Hare basically created a measure that has 20 questions that measure different sort of attributes of what he found psychopaths have in common, and sort of created a way to screen different prisoners for meeting criteria for psychopathy or not.
Can I ask a dumb question right off the bat?
Yes.
Because this has been plaguing me a little bit, and it's probably a very simple answer. What is a forensic psychologist versus a psychologist?
Yeah. So a forensic psychologist is someone who specifically studies and works with the criminal population.
So if anything with forensic means criminal.
Yes.
So we're talking about forensic evidence, anything like that.
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought, but I wanted to clarify. Okay,
That's a good question. Yeah. And so it's been used in a wide variety of, settings, and, well, not really settings, mostly just in prisons. But it can be used for things like determining what prison, what level of prison someone should go to, where they should be housed in prison, if they're, a good,
parole eligibility.
thank you. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. And so it's pretty fascinating to think about, and all of us have some traits. Like, they're not traits that are like mutually exclusive, like normal people don't have them, only psychopaths have them. We all have them to a certain degree.
Okay.
But if you are a psychopath, you have it to a much, 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 much stronger degree than anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I figured we would look at maybe some of the specific things it measures, and also I have this really awesome book. It's actually written by Dr. Hare. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Without Conscience. It's fascinating. I highly recommend it, because it talks about not only how to spot a psychopath, but like what to do if you are interacting with one.
Oh.
Which is pretty interesting. It is a little bit older. It was published in 1993, so it might not have like the most up-to-date scientific information, but it's fascinating, and so I recommend it.
Did you buy this book for this segment, or did you just happen to have it already?
I already had it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've had it for a while.
Fair.
So what are the traits that make someone a psychopath? Let's start there. So, first one that we have, if I can find the page in the book, there we go, is being glib and superficial. So,
Okay.
Pretty
standard.
Pretty
for
standard,
a lot of
understandable.
people, Yeah.
Yeah. Being egocentric and grandiose. So everything's all about me and I'm the best.
So now we're going towards narcissism a little bit.
They definitely have some overlaps.
Okay.
Right. Lack of remorse or guilt. Lack of empathy.
The big one.
That's the big one. Yep. Deceitful and manipulative. Like, they will do anything to get what they want, essentially. They have very shallow emotions.
Okay.
Are very impulsive. Have poor behavior control. They have a need for excitement.
Okay.
They have a lack of responsibility, which is not surprising, right? They often have very early behavior problems, And they have adult antisocial behavior, which often looks like crimes or other violations of people's rights, essentially.
That's like a recipe for a dangerous person right there.
Absolutely. So imagine someone who not only maybe has a couple of those, but has all of those together. It can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
And so we talked about in episode 3 of Clifford Olson how his score at the time was one of the highest that was ever given at 38 out of 40. But it's not the highest that has been given anymore. And there are people who score a perfect 40. It's not very common. I think in reading here, they were saying it was less than 1 in 200, like psychopaths score a perfect score of 40.
She had said that Ted Bundy got 34.
Yep.
Right?
Ted Bundy
and Clifford Olson got 38, and then you have someone that has a perfect 40. I don't know, you're probably going to go over this. If you have a high psychopathy scale, are there some people that are functioning with a very high psychopathy scale without hurting people? Is that possible?
Yes and no, because it depends on how you define hurting people.
Okay.
Because psychopathy is also often attributed with white-collar crimes.
Oh, okay.
So things like Ponzi schemes,
Okay.
more like financial crimes, in which people are being harmed, but they're not being harmed physically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could have a perfect psychopath walking amongst us and not know it, and they're not doing anything like physically harmful to people, so we may never know it.
Right. Okay. I would guess that if you have a perfect score of 40, chances are you're going to get arrested for something at some point, just because it's sort of inevitable. It'll be,
with all that.
You can't really help yourself.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it is possible to be a 40 and not be a serial killer.